Where is the top of the Packers draft from the 2022 season? We haven't seen or heard much from them at all this season so far. Plus, it sounds like we're going to get starters in the third preseason game, what that means for this team and why they would do it. Is the risk worth it? All of that next.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You were Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the Locked On Podcast Network at Locked On Packers. Wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers, the number one Packers podcast on the internet. Then the show for fans who know what happened. They want to know why and how. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. We got some news-ish. Matt LaFleur was very non-committal yesterday about whether or not his guys were going to play in the third preseason game. He said, I need to tell them first. He's been coy about this for weeks, and I have long contested that I thought the starters would at some point go out there and play. And I mentioned the other day, the defense wanted to do this. Eric Stokes started this. He said, we want to play. We want to prove it because this defense has been nasty in camp. They have been absolutely swaggerific, filthy, unbelievably just locked in. And it happened again at practice yesterday. Just absolutely put the clamps on this Packers offense. They are playing outstanding football, and they are going to make life miserable for opponents. This is something that you can generally get a feel for. The longer you're around the game, the longer you cover teams, you can get a feel for what's going on. You can get a feel for how the players think and feel about their team. They know more than most if their team is any good. And this defense is going to be awesome. We're going to talk about the defense in a little bit when we talk about the starters and the importance of it, because offensively, I don't know how much we actually gain from seeing the quote unquote starting offense on the field in the preseason, just because Aaron Rodgers doesn't need it. And I don't think it's that useful given the guys that are involved. We're going to talk about all of that in a second. Before we get there, where are the early picks? Where is Quay Walker? Where is Devontae Wyatt? Christian Watson is just getting back on the field and starting to make some plays. Had apparently a terrific play at the end of the 2-minute yesterday in practice, but he's just finding his way back onto the field. It's not his fault, by the way. I don't want to turn this into anyone's fault. This is not fault. This is not even criticism of the picks. And you know I've been critical of the picks. Certainly the first round picks, didn't like them. I didn't like those picks. Nothing that I have seen so far has changed my mind about how I feel about those picks, but I am trying to be fair about these things. And I think my evaluations, you need to wait 1 year, 2 year, probably 3 full years until we make evaluations on draft picks. I do that for myself, so I need to be fair to others when that happens, right? So I don't want to say, okay, these careers are over. This is dumb. They've wasted these picks. But if you're a relatively new listener, I want you to understand where I'm coming from on this. I did not like the Devontae Wyatt or Quay Walker picks. And for those of you who have been longtime listeners, you're like, yes, we know. We get it. You didn't like the picks. Can you move on? We've heard it enough. Thank you. Bye. I understand that. I really do. But we haven't seen anything. We haven't seen anything to indicate. This goes back to like the conversation we were having yesterday about Jordan Love and not seeing the talent. We haven't really seen a lot from Quay Walker that says, this is a first-round talent. He hasn't played a ton in preseason. But like last year, Eric Stokes, we were hearing from other players, oh yeah, this guy's got it. He was going up against Devontae Adams in practice. and Devontae was talking about, the ability and all of that stuff. Maybe it's that the right questions aren't being asked. But generally speaking, when talent is apparent, not only is it recognized by those paying attention, but it is talked about by those around. Quay Walker, have you heard someone say something about Quay Walker? Have you heard a quarterback go, who's really playing great? Quay Walker. Have you heard an offensive lineman say, who's really been awesome is Devontae Wyatt? No, apparently Devontae Wyatt is the funniest guy on the team now. But outside of an impressive family night, we haven't really seen him make an impact on the field. And that's in camp and in the preseason. Anytime you can draft a 24-year-old rotational defensive lineman who's not going to give you much as a rookie, you have to do it, right? It's not a great look in the case of Wyatt in particular, because if you're going to draft an older rookie at a non-premium position, you want him to be able to help your team right away. It doesn't look like Devontae Wyatt is going to do that. It doesn't look like he's one of the 5 best even, defensive linemen. It's Kenny Clark and Dean Lowry for sure. It's TJ Slayton for sure. It's Jerron Reed for sure ahead of Devontae Wyatt. And then it might be Chris Slayton. Devontae Wyatt had a PFF grade, I think, below 30 this last game. And your mileage may vary on that. But I'm just trying to give you another voice outside of mine because you know where I'm coming from on this evaluation point of it. I have not seen anything that says first round pick. Again, it's early. A lot of time left. It's great that Romeo Doubs is doing stuff. It's great that Zach Tom is doing stuff. And I've always made the point, who cares where a guy is drafted? Just give me good players. And so if you're going to have good players out of a draft class, it doesn't ultimately really matter where those guys were picked, as long as you come out of a draft with good players. And this draft was lauded by a lot of Packer fans, by myself included, at least starting in round 2. And after that, Kingsley Enagbare playing awesome football. Of course, Zach Tom and Romeo Doubs playing awesome football. And Christian Watson, we haven't really seen. So again, not his fault. He flashed in the spring. He gets hurt. And now he's already in the last couple of days flashing again. Aaron Rodgers talked about this great anecdote from Rodgers yesterday at his locker about Watson, who apparently has always been in his ear. We've seen with Coach Jason Vrabel always trying to stay engaged, stay involved, and go, hey, what happened on this? What's going on? He's been very curious, very inquisitive, trying to stay up to date. Rodgers tells this story about Christian Watson in the huddle. Rodgers says, I want you to do this thing. And apparently Christian has never done this thing before, at least not in Packers practice. And he says, okay. And then he goes out and does it perfectly. This is according to Rodgers. And talked about how crucial that is to his development. And then goes on this follow-up to say Romeo Doubs is being held to a different standard than other rookies because of what he's already shown. He said flat out, we are holding Romeo Doubs to a different standard than the receivers that we've had in this room over the last 4, 5, 6 years. And they really haven't had a guy of this caliber, someone who's played like this early, really since Davante Adams. So we're talking about 8 years now. Rodgers being generous. And we have to add in, and remember, I love Christian Watson as a player. I thought he was drafted in the range where he deserved to be drafted. Did I love the trade? No. But this is not about that. This is not about me taking a victory lap on these picks. It's way too early for that. It's just, I think, interesting that we haven't had any discussions about this. We on the show, I haven't heard or seen it anywhere else. I haven't seen it written. I haven't heard about it talked about on podcasts or local radio or certainly national media. No one is talking about how the Packers' first round in particular has done nothing. But really, it's the entire top 100 group of picks. Christian Watson, again, hurt. So not really his fault. Showed some nice things in limited reps. Apparently, Quay Walker has shown enough to supplant Chris Barnes as the starter. Though, from what we've seen so far on the field in game action, Barnes has been the better player, at least in my opinion. And then Sean Rhyan, who was one of my guys. I mean, I think this helps drive home the point because Sean Rhyan was one of my guys. I thought he was a top 50 kind of talent. They got him in the 3rd round. I loved the draft pick. Pre-draft, this was someone that I thought there was a really good chance the Packers were going to draft at tackle. Maybe he's a tackle, convert him to guard. It's been kind of a nightmare for him. And one of the reasons why you were converting him to guard is because laterally there were some issues. He is a mauler in the run game. We haven't quite seen it on the level that we thought we would. Athletically, he's got a lot of traits. I think he's having some issues adjusting to this new position group because not only is he changing positions, going to tackle to guard, he's also changing sides. And that flips your footwork. That's a lot of muscle memory built in that all of a sudden is just out the window. And that's not an easy thing to do. So again, this is not to say these guys are just done. They suck. They're bad players. They were bad picks. No. But we need to see more. Because when you're the Packers right now where you are, you traded Davante Adams to get draft picks. That made this draft at the end of Aaron Rodgers' career a seminal draft in the Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst era because you need to nail these picks because you only have a year, 2, maybe max 3 with Aaron Rodgers. So these guys got to help you now. And it doesn't look like they're going to. Now, maybe the season starts and all of a sudden these guys are just gamers. Like Kingsley Enagbare all of a sudden just awoke against the 49ers and over the last week and a half has just been a man possessed. It's been awesome. And looks like he's going to be the 3rd pass rusher on the edge for the Packers and looks like he's going to be a quality player. Like if Dobbs, Tom, and Enagbare turn out to be quality contributors, it's a good draft. You get 3 players who can contribute to your team out of a draft. That's really good. Zach Tom looks like he can be a starting offensive lineman. Kingsley Enagbare, I think in a year or 2 could be your starter opposite Rashawn Gary. And Romeo Dobbs looks like a starting caliber receiver. You get 3 starters in a draft. That's a good draft. But you need more when you have the amount of draft capital the Packers had with the multiple 1st-round picks, the multiple 2nd-round picks, and you turn it into, so far, no premium assets. It's just not ideal. At the moment, that's where we are. We can only judge things based on where we are right now. So I'm not saying freak out. I'm not saying panic. I'm not saying these are bad picks. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying to date, the Packers have not gotten much out of these guys. I think Christian Watson is the guy most likely to give them something meaningful this season. And if I'm being honest, I don't expect much out of the 1st-round picks because I just didn't expect much out of those guys. So we'll see. Look, if they overperform my expectations, I will be on this show. I promise you. I will be on this show talking about how wrong I was about their evaluations. I will. I have to. I'm on this show every day. I'm in front of this microphone every day. What else am I going to talk about? I promise you, as a listener, I will hold myself accountable for those takes. But right now, what they've gotten out of the top 100 of this draft class is, it's not concerning yet. It's not troubling yet. It's something to monitor. It's something to monitor. It's something to have our eye on as we move forward here because they're going to need these guys. Danny Heifetz over at The Ringer did an all-index based on salary and draft capital and all that stuff. And the Packers were in the middle of the pack. They're about 20 in the all-index based on their, whatever their evaluation of it was. And part of that is because they're not spending money on Davante Adams. They got picks for him. And so you need to turn those picks into something. That's the decision they made. A little reset, retool, and move forward. Okay, if you're going to retool, those players that you've retooled with have to be contributors. Do they have to be contributors in year 1? I mean, like 1 or 2 need to be probably because of where you are in your quarterback cycle. So you need Christian Watson right now to be useful. You need Quay Walker right now to be useful. I don't think Sean Rhyan is going to start. If he's a backup, that's fine. And if you just get rotational reps from Devontae Wyatt, I guess that's okay. I mean, that's useful to your team. You'd like to get more out of your 1st-round pick than that. This is how they allocated the resources. I think we can evaluate that now. But we can't evaluate these players yet. So right now, I think we should have low expectations for at least 3 of these 4 players. That's not ideal when you're talking about a touchstone draft in this moment of your franchise. All right, more to come here on the Locked On Packers podcast. But before we talk about potentially starting players playing in the preseason, let's talk about our friends at AG1. Our next partner has a product I use literally every day. Although I did forget to take it today, but I just forgot. I try to take it every day. I'm bad about taking my vitamins. By the way, it's why I started using AG1, because I'm bad about taking my vitamins. And so I wanted something to make it easy for me to do it. I don't have to set alarms. I just wake up every morning and I do it. And that's the beauty of AG1. With 1 scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. Don't you want to have a healthier body, a healthier gut, especially? This is critical. It's not something we talked about a lot. Like when I was growing up, I never knew about the importance of gut health to your overall health. But now that I'm a little older, once you hit that age that starts with a 3, you start to realize, ooh, this is actually a really important part of feeling good day to day. Plus, energy levels, just fueling your body the right way. Athletic Greens can help you do that. It's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NFL Network. That's athleticgreens.com/NFL Network to take ownership of your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Thanks for making Locked On Packers your first listen every day. It's fantasy draft week on the Locked On Podcast Network. However you play, experts from the Locked On Fantasy Football and Locked On Dynasty Football will bring you daily positional top 10 lists to get you ready for the season. Find Locked On Fantasy Football and Locked On Dynasty Football on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts. According to Russell Douglas, the starters on defense are going to play. Presumably this means starters on offense are also going to play at least some. And this is a tricky one because, you think about years past and the Packers have lost some critical players in the preseason in games that it's sort of like, why were they out there? Jordy Nelson changes the outlook of the 2015 season. The Packers very well could have gone to the Super Bowl in 2015 with Jordy Nelson, because they almost beat the Cardinals anyway. And then you add Jordy Nelson into that mix. They probably beat the Cardinals. Then you have a chance to beat the Panthers. I know that Panthers team was thoroughly mediocre. I know you're probably not going to beat that Broncos team. That Broncos team dominated them in the regular season, but part of that is because Jordy Nelson didn't play, because Devontae Adams was hurt. You don't want to risk injury if you can avoid it, but this team seems to believe, Eric Stokes talked about this the other day, that not playing in the preseason affected their ability to get their mindset right for week 1. They came out flat and they got trucked. They got steamrolled. And you look around the league, Josh Allen is playing. Patrick Mahomes is playing. Tom Brady would be playing if he weren't vacationing in Barbados with his wife and his kids, not going to training camp. It is the kind of thing where you go, okay, you just have to trust your players. And if the thing that you need to do to get most prepared for the regular season is risk some injury to play your guys, then what you should do is play your guys. That is at least one way to look at it. I, on the other hand, don't care about week 1. I just don't care. I really don't. If you look back at the annals of history, in a given season, the weirdest outcomes almost always happen in week 1. And it's for reasons like guys not playing in the preseason. It's a long season, whatever. I mean, a couple years ago, the Jaguars won week 1 against the Colts. The Colts went to the playoffs. The Jaguars won no more games. That's a weird outcome. We see this happen. Like regularly, we see this happen. Just crazy stuff in week 1. And if you're the Packers, you just don't care about week 1. You just don't. Like, why would you? It doesn't matter. There's an extra game. There's 17 games. If you lose week 1 to the Minnesota Vikings because you made sure your guys were healthy, who cares? You've got 16 more games to figure it all out. To win the games that you need to win for playoff seeding and positioning, you're not gonna go 17-0. So who cares if you lose 1? Just 1. I certainly see both sides of it, though. And I appreciate the players who are willing to say, I want to play. I want to play. And I the same way I appreciate the players saying, I don't need it. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you have the gravitas to say, I don't care. I don't need to play. But at the same time, if your whole offensive line and Alan Lazard is saying, I want to play, and Sammy Watkins is saying, I want to play, and you know Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson need the time, if those guys are saying, we want to play, maybe play. Like, get the ball out quick, play action, try and stay out of harm's way and just go that way. Like, I see both sides of this. I think both sides are important. I think it's great to have a team that is saying, we want to play. If you're Eric Stokes, I love that. Rasul Douglas wants to play. This defense wants to play. They want to go out and prove that they are the MFers that they think they are. That's what they want. I think that's what fans want too. They want to see these guys, how good they look. I want to see how good they look. And I do think there's value in the offense going out there and putting some stuff together in game situations before you have to go out and face an NFC North opponent. In some ways, I think it's more important for the defense because Jair Alexander, he's back. He's not played a ton of snaps with Rasul Douglas and Eric Stokes. Quay Walker, he's not played any snaps in a game with Devondre Campbell, with this safety group, with this front. Jerron Reed, he has not played with this group. You've got meaningful players. Darnell Savage, who has not been practicing because of this hamstring injury, just has been out. You'd like to just knock off the rust a little bit. If you're the Packers offense, though, Aaron Rodgers has played with Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, so the running game is going to be fine with this offensive line. They played with that group before. He knows what to expect from Big Bob Tunyon and Mercedes Lewis. He knows the deal with Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb. And Sammy Watkins is a veteran. You trust him to just go out and know the deal. Would it be nice to get some reps with Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson? Yeah. But Aaron Rodgers got reps with Doubs in joint practices. That was useful. And Rodgers, lauded Doubs for a play he made with Jordan Love at quarterback. That's an important thing. It was a little sail route, switch release sail, and Romeo Doubs comes inside, bends back at outside. The outside corner falls off, and instead of just letting the ball come to him, Doubs works back to Jordan Love, makes the play. It's a big gain. He protects his quarterback. Aaron Rodgers sees that and goes, that guy can play. That is a smart football player. It doesn't matter if Aaron Rodgers is quarterback. Romeo Doubs is going to make that play. And so seeing that play, that's going to instill some trust in Rodgers. And he talked about it. I mean, to bring that play up, they watched the tape together. He knows what's up. I don't think Rodgers needs to play, which means you don't really need to play Lazard. You don't really need to play Cobb. But this offensive line, you'd probably like to get out there Give Zach Tom maybe some first team reps. Give Jordan Love more opportunities. Give Christian Watson some opportunities. Yeah, Christian Watson should go out there. You need Christian Watson to get some real reps. And you'd like to get this defense some reps. At the same time, Darnell Savage, like, you probably don't want to risk him because you don't have great safety depth. Everyone else you're probably okay with because they can modulate. So what it comes down to is I see both sides. I want my players to want to play. And it's more important, in my opinion, to have the defense out there, even though I think the bigger questions on this team are on offense. Just because this defense needs the cohesion together. All right, we're going to be finishing up in just a second. But before we do, let's talk about our new friends at LinkedIn. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond in the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job to the hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. It's simple tools like screening questions that make it easy to focus on the candidates with just the right skills and the experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates that want to talk to you faster. Did you know every week, nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, we're going to be back tomorrow as we get set for Chiefs-Packers on Thursday. Looks like we're going to get some starters. So actual things to watch for, to think about. We're going to have it all as we get prepped. And maybe that means we need to change the schedule a little bit here. So let me noodle on that a little bit. Let's see. Maybe we get a guest tomorrow instead of on Friday, and we can talk about the show on Friday. Maybe we go live. Maybe we go live after the game on Thursday night. We'll see how I'm feeling. I'll let you know for tomorrow's show exactly what we're thinking. If the starters are going to play, maybe we need to go live. I'll think about it. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. And you can see I will announce it on Twitter probably before I announce it on the podcast. So follow me on Twitter at Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter at Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers. And anytime you want to hit us up on the Locked On Packers fan hotline, you can do that 920-341-3775 to stay Locked On Packers.